Good evening, everybody. This is Anchal Chaube here. Welcome, Marhaba. Welcome to PMI UAE webinar series with us. I'm happy and glad that you people made it out on the time. If in case, let's give a couple of more minutes for our friends to come in and join us while in this mid-week of evening. Meanwhile, of course, we love to hear from all of you. I'm seeing the chat started flowing around there as well. That's really lovely to see from all you guys, people joining from India, of course, Middle East and all. But yeah, welcome and then thank you so much. I'm grateful that you are with us for this great journey again for 1 hour of 60 minutes of fast tune and then the heavy packed, power packed situation with us, with yet another powerful speaker lined up with us. Dr. Corrie is with us over here. Meanwhile, I welcome you, all of you, and then I welcome you to introduce yourself. And then I'm seeing you're joining from different places. That's really great. If you want to introduce your field as well, which particular sector you work in, that's also great if you people like from that. But let's see how many people have come in. Okay, so we are reaching quickly towards racing towards a century. That's really great. Oh, great. I see Amit Bhagat. Hello, Amit. Hello, Kamran. Lovely people coming in together with us. Meanwhile, I think people might be joining from some different time zones. So, good afternoon, or I don't know, it's a good morning over there. But yeah, late evening. But welcome and marhaba to all of you guys. Okay. Meanwhile, also let's see that today's topic, what we're going to have today with us is another interesting topic, which is around all of us. Okay, all of us means we as a human being. Okay, more of a human intelligence driving productivity with meaning, connection, and fulfillment at the work. That's the topic idea what we're going to ponder about. And this session exploring multiple situations there, fundamental aspects of employee engagement, well-being, okay, beyond technology solution, of course. Okay, we are going to delve into importance of meaning, connections, fulfillment at the work, by understanding the employee personal motivations and genuine connection making around that. So organizations can really enhance their productivity, reduce their turnovers, and achieve higher profitability, which is underlying aspect of every company or that matter. This session is going to really put ourselves into real practical steps around project management we as well as a leader can take to create and engage more fulfilled workforce with our team, around our team. Okay, and I think we are going to touch a couple of important aspects about today's topic. The myth of technological solutions. Okay, that's very relevant because everybody just speak about technology throughout. Okay, or being forced to, for that matter. We are going to learn about power of meaning, personal goal settings and aspirations, impact of meaningful work, role of a managers, and ultimately genuine connection making, fulfillment of the challenges, and overall employee well-being together. So before we are going to take a deeper dive into this all fundamental areas of these connections, I'm going to take a couple of minutes with all of you to introduce you this particular chapter format and the webinar format with all of us. Chapter introduction I'm going to do with a couple of slides with you. And also this webinar is going to last around 60 minutes roughly. And in the 60 minutes and 10 minutes more, we can try to follow a set agenda where we are going to introduce you to the chapter of PMI UAE and then with the core presentation of Dr. Corey with us. And then we will have a short time for the Q&A. Okay, fundamentally, that's what the important for all of us to learn together and share our thoughts and engaging questions. We will try our best to answer all your questions in the time frame we have. Of course, this webinar is going to give you two PDUs. We encourage you to post your thoughts on the chat section and interact with all of us to make this particular webinar as invigorating as possible for all of you. With regard to your questions, try to put it into the section of Q&A specifically because that really segregates your chats and the questions in a very good frame at the time they're there. So let's begin, guys. Without wasting more for the time, I would like to introduce the chapter to you. While I'm see 100 people have already joined the chat with all of us today and then see there. Let me introduce quickly to the chapter slides and then we will introduce our speaker as well from that. So here is our chapter. So let me just make it full screen. Here you go. Perfect. So fine. So I think we all know that if the people are joining it, our webinar, We know that PMI is basically is again more importantly a legacy in itself. And then it was founded by 1969 by the group of project managers. 50 years now, we are surviving this journey and becoming the part of this overall journey overall. And this is one of the largest association of the professionals, by the way. Okay, so this is really interesting that to be the part of such a consortium is really in a big honor. Issuing global certificates and standards to all of us, to all the professionals, offering the trainings, accreditations, and also the sponsorship and publishing research, thought, leadership, knowledge throughout the industry across the regions. We are having the chapter here overall is a representation of PMI in UAE, and the vision of the chapter says empower and influence all individuals with innovate project economy principles to turn their ideas into real reality. To make this vision, we have a mission statement to disrupt and create value, value-driven opportunities to our chapter members, which are all of you in that matter, and possibly it could you can, and then the partners to become agile, innovative, productive in the platform for the growth of project economy. That's what the mission says, and this is the sum of the snippets of the chapter activities, which we are proud to have it. We are run 100% by volunteers, 4,000 plus active members, and then is ranking among the top 5 chapters across the EMA region. We are trying to focus and bring the trends, practices from the leading industries and serving UAE as a part of community of project managers and to help the capabilities and capabilities and offerings so that the people can understand this profession well in depth and can contribute through and then in there. We are all dependent on you people to make this our chapter activities as invigorating as possible so that we can come closer, learn from each other, contribute together, and then also take our games up and ever. Our chapter board of directors and is led by Mr. President Adil Sultan. He is being in the front and then be leading the rest of the board of directors alongside with him in the different functions to make this journey as much as successful what we are trying to see here. If you take the membership of the chapter, it's really worth enough. And I would say that there are different pillars around networking, learning, career growth, and events. This particular webinar, which we are trying to always keep on keeping the pace with, is a part of events. And I'm the part of events team, by the way. So making myself also available to the events over there. We have initiatives from the chapter side like member spotlight, members corner, and if somebody is a part of event, as a part of the chapter, a member want to present their contribution, their learnings, we welcome them to post it to the newsletters at pmiua.org, and then the team will get in touch with you to get selected and get it published into the chapter newsletter over there. A lot of different activities beside this. I think you can go ahead and look at the different social media channels. There are specific email members are also, email groups are also being created, as you can say, for membership and for volunteering. There's WhatsApp group also, which is being created for all the members. And that also can be joined. I think there's a link for that, which we can share if somebody want to have it in that level. But we have a website which is having the enough and all bold information inherently situated in there. So I think that's about the chapter. Now, quickly, let me see. Okay, we are at Nelson figure, 111 already passed now. So that's some great news with all of us. Let me introduce our esteemed speaker today. So Dr. Corrie Block is a globally recognized business strategist and Middle East leading expert in executive coaching and organizational psychology. He has been there around 30 years of experience advising more than 150 companies. He is helping the leaders across the different sectors to achieve higher engagement, profitability, and well-being. Dr. Corrie holds a PhD in business strategy and doctorate in executive coaching and leadership, and also is certified in performance neuroscience. He's based in Dubai, here very well with us, around us, and he's a CEO of the Paragon Consulting and regularly speaks at global forums on the leadership, motivation, and also on the future of the work. So with that all being said, without any further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Corrie to come and then start putting their learning and his own particular set of knowledge so that we all can understand that really where the connection is coming from and what we all as a human being need to look together beyond what we already do. Over to you, sir. You're on mute. Keep it your unmute, sir. No, your sound is not coming. Might be your Your mic is not working properly.
I changed my microphone there. Is
Yeah,
that better?
now it came. Now it
Okay,
came.
perfect. Sorry
That's
about that. I've got two different microphones here and I chose the
that's
wrong
fine.
one. Thank you, Anshul. I am
No,
so excited to be here. First of all, you have to know that for the next hour, my job is to help you to make more money. Okay? That's my focus. Now, I know that my introduction is really long. If you scroll to the very top of the chat for today, you're going to find my LinkedIn profile. That's where you need to connect with me, and my website. That's where you need to connect with me if you want to talk about basically anything. But my big passion is people. And I know that we would all be amazing project managers if it wasn't for all the people involved, right? That's our biggest frustration is the fact that all the technology seems to work, the processes are okay. You know, if it wasn't for the people, we would all be way better at what we do. And so I'm hoping that today I can give you some tools for dealing with the people. It's completely free of charge. Everything that I'm going to give you today is free. All of it is science backed. It's all based on evolutionary psychology and neuroscience, and it's going to be story driven. So let's go. I'm going to give you my three biggest tools. You know what I usually call this is I usually call this the least artificial intelligence, actually. And so when I'm going to share this screen with you, here we go. More of human intelligence. We're going to talk about driving productivity with meaning and connection and fulfillment at work. And what I want you to do today is I want you to consider the possibility that every single person you've ever worked with is an apex predator. Every single person, your boss, your employees, your teammates, your clients, your vendors, the people you're managing in the whatever, all of the people that are involved in your work, all of them are the product of 10,000 iterations of a successfully improving survival and adaptation machine. Okay, so first of all, congratulate yourself. You did it. You made it through the last million years, and all of the ancestors that earned you the right to be born, okay, did exactly the same for every other person that we're working with. So, what I want to do is give you tools for figuring out how to use those incredibly powerful apex predators to your advantage, to their advantage, to help make sure that the work that they're doing is as meaningful as the work that you're doing. And so we're going to talk about meaning and connection and fulfillment. Let's start with connection, or sorry, with meaning. Okay, so in the psychology department, we talk about meaning as a combination of two things. One is the need to do, and the other one is the need to matter, right? We have to have purpose as human beings, and then that purpose has to have significance, right? We need to do stuff, and that's regulated in the brain by a chemical called dopamine. But it's not enough just to do something. I mean, you could dig a hole, I suppose, and then fill it back in again, and that's doing stuff, but it's not meaningful. So we need the stuff that we do to also be meaningful. And the meaning that we find in our work is interesting because most of us, most of the time, humans, most of the time, we don't really care what we do. The what isn't all that important. We'll collect garbage and be perfectly happy as long as we know why we're doing it and we like who we're doing it with. So it needs to matter to us. And I guarantee you, each and every one of you show up to work every single day for reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with the products and services of your companies. That's the secret that everybody knows and no one says out loud. That is right. No one's excited about managing projects. No one's excited about Excel spreadsheets. No one's excited about the next Gantt chart. No one's excited about Kanban boards. Nobody wakes up in the morning passionate about moving stuff around the Kanban board again today. No, that's not, but that's true of everybody in your company. That's true of everybody on the project. Everyone in the company, everyone in the project is there for reasons that have nothing to do with the project. But getting that project done, getting that company built, moving those products and services around the world, even though we're not passionate about the what, we're very passionate about the why, and guaranteed every single one of those people is passionate about their why. And their why, I want you to think about it. I want you to connect really well right now with the reason why you show up to work every day. What's the reason? What's the meaning behind it? You want a good quality of life for your family. You want to give your kids education options that you didn't have. You want to buy a nice house and a nice car. You want a vacation once a year. You want to take care of your parents in their old age. You want to retire at a reasonable age. Whatever it is that you're doing at work, I want you to connect with that. And I want you to imagine that not only are you there for reasons that have nothing to do with your company, but every other person in the company is there for those reasons too. No one is passionate about the products and services of the company. Okay. That's just the same. So whether you're talking about the FMCG game, the oil and gas game, luxury shoes, whatever game it is, your construction, doesn't matter. Whatever game you're playing, it's just an economic game. And all of our industries are economic games, and all of our companies are economic teams. And in all of our teams, we have economic players. And you are a player on a team in an economic game that is feeding hundreds, maybe thousands of families. You are taking care of hundreds, maybe thousands of children with your efforts. And the efforts that you put into this game are feeding the families of the other people that you're playing this game with. Do you see your job a little bit differently now already? We're only like 8 minutes in. Okay, I'm gonna start with a couple of statistics. I want to show you a little bit of research behind this. I want you to see what the impact of all of this is. If people find their work meaningful, the Better Up study from 2017 showed that 90% of employees are willing to work for 23% less money if they find their work meaningful. And I'm not saying that you should pay people less. That's mean. You don't want to do that. Don't take money off of people's plates. That's not nice. Okay. But I'm saying that they're willing. They're willing to work for less money if they find their work meaningful. And not only that, but they're willing to work for less, but we end up paying them more. That's right. They take 2 less leave days every year. They work an extra hour a week of discretionary effort. They're much more productive, much higher performing, which means they get more opportunities for raises, more opportunities for advancements. And so even though people who find their work meaningful are willing to work for less, we actually end up paying them more. And that's the same of you. If you find your work meaningful, there'll be more discretionary effort, more passion, more accuracy, in what you do, and you'll be better at collaborating, information sharing, and building trust, and all of it goes up, and then all of that leads to a better bottom line. And this particular study, the better bottom line is about 9,000 US dollars per employee per year. So it's a significant amount of savings, and that's just by helping people create meaning out of their work. That's connecting them with the reasons for their work that are outside of the company. That's connecting them with their why for being there, not the what of what they do. And there's so much more. There's so much more science behind this. The Gallup study, for example, found that if employees are engaged in the work that they're doing and they find their work meaningful, those companies, and by the way, okay, this is not just a small study, right? This is 1.4 million employee records, 147 different industries, and more than 50,000 business units. Okay, so we're talking about massive statistical significance here. And those companies whose employees find their work more meaningful and they're more engaged, they have 41% less absenteeism, 59% less turnover, 17% higher performance, and 21% more profit. Yes, they make more money. It's predictive. Like we know that meaning makes money. Actually, Harvard said it maybe just a couple of years ago. Meaning is the new money. And I think it's absolutely correct. I think it's the more meaningful we find our work, the better we perform, the more fun we have. And remember, your work is not other than your life. It's at least half of your life. If your life is a combination of all of the experiences that you gain between birth and death, fully half or more of those experiences will be gained at work. That is not other than you. It's not all of you, but it's definitely not other than you. And so the more meaningful we can make it, I think anything that any apex predator, anything that any sacred human being does with half of their life every day should be as meaningful as possible, don't you? And I want you to pay attention to this really quickly, okay? Because 70%, Gallup found that 70% of the variance on all of those benefits comes down to a single connection in the organization. Does anybody want to make a guess what it is? I'll tell you. Three, two, one. It's the manager. That's right. Specifically, from a neurochemical standpoint, it's the amount of oxytocin that flows in the brain of an employee when they are making eye contact with their direct line manager. So 70% variance on 21% profitability, that's 14.7% variance on your net profit based on whether or not an employee trusts, respects, honors, likes, and is working for their manager because they want to instead of because they have to. If you can answer that simple question, if your employees are walking around because they want to, not because they have to, you're going to make more money, 14.7% more on the bottom line. And that is the same for you as project managers. don't forget, even if you're working remotely, even if you're managing remotely, and I've got a lot of friends who manage projects remotely, huge, massive transformations, and I remind them all the time, just remember on the other side of that screen, on the other side of that Zoom, on the other side of that MS Teams call, or on the other side of those tasks that are being handled, there's a human being. There's a human being with goals and aspirations outside of this organization, outside of this particular project. And the better you can connect with them, the more they align with you, and the faster both of you can run. The faster you can run, the more money you make. Okay. So when you were creating meaning for people, when I'm creating meaning for you, I want you to walk away in the next 30 minutes with answers to these two questions. Number one, why are you here? And number two, why are you here? And I know they sound very similar, but they are not the same. So here we go. You ready? Number one, why are you here and not somewhere else? Okay, you're working in a particular job in a particular company at this particular time, right? You chose this game, you chose this team, and you chose that role on that game in that on that team. So why did you choose that company and not somewhere else? Well, you know, our moms think are special, but we're not all that special, right? There's probably around 10,000 people that have a CV like yours. So why you and why and there's thousands of other companies you could be playing for different games, but you chose that one, right? And the reason is because well, first of all, you're not a slave, right? You made a deal. You signed an employment contract, and now that you're in, you're not a slave, you're not a victim, so you can leave whenever you want to, right? And but I think the most important reason why you are in your company, in your role, on your team at this time is because you are not an idiot. Okay, you are the product of a million years of successful survival and adaptation. You have so much wisdom in your head. You are there because you chose to be there. Every decision you've ever made led you to that particular place, and you are not stuck there. You can leave whenever you want to, but this is the best, fastest, most effective way for you to reach your personal goals for your personal life. All of the stuff that has nothing to do with your role, nothing to do with your company's products or services. This is the best, fastest, most effective way. And the reason I know that is because an idiot would be doing something that they know is not the best, fastest, most effective way for them to achieve their personal goals for their personal life. And I know that you are not an idiot, right? So this must be it. When another opportunity comes that's better, faster, and more effective for you to achieve your goals, you will take it. That is the nature of business. And that is why you are here and not somewhere else. And just as important as that, why are you here and not someone else? Again, not that special, right? 10,000 people have your CV, so why is it you in your chair? And I know your CV gets sorted, it goes through the applicant tracking system. We take 500 CVs, we shortlist 10 of them, and then what do? We talk to them, we interview them. Look, if we're only looking for qualified people in our organizations, we could just send out random offer letters to all of the people that are qualified, and then whoever responds first gets the job. The fact is, we don't hire qualified people. Okay? Imagine how many people were interviewed for your job? 5, 10, 30? Okay, we don't waste our time interviewing people that we know for a fact aren't qualified. Every single person that was interviewed for your job was qualified for your job. None of them are in your chair. You were chosen not because you were qualified, but because you are a kind of qualified person. You were chosen because of who you are. That's right. Everyone we interview is qualified. You were not chosen because you're qualified. You were chosen because you are a kind of qualified person. Somebody sat across from you and said, "Oh, she's a good fit," or "He's the kind of person that we're looking for." And that's why it's you and not someone else, is because it's you. It's all the stuff that's not on LinkedIn. It's all the stuff that's not on your CV. And I want you to pay attention to that because just in the last 20 minutes, I hope I've given you enough that you will never, ever see your job the same way again. You ready? Let's move to the next one. That's meaning, by the way. So when you want to do that with people, okay, very quickly ask them, why are you in this job? What are your goals? What are you trying to do? They'll start with something about the job, about the KPIs. Nobody cares about the KPIs. The KPIs are the byproduct of being passionate about the game, why we're playing and who we're playing with. Okay, so ask people, what are you really here for? And then tell them what you're really here for. make explicit what everybody knows and no one says out loud. And that is, we're just playing an economic game together so we can build our families, build our dreams, and take care of each other. My efforts feed your family, and your efforts are feeding mine. And that is what we're actually doing together. And if you can create that meaning, well, 14% higher profit, says Gallup. And yeah, higher productivity, higher performance from pretty much everybody. So you decide, and it's free. It doesn't take anything more than a 30-second conversation and just remembering that the other person on the other side of that screen is a human being too. Okay, let's work on connection. So if you're going to find out what the meaning is to them, you might want to connect, you know? And I think one of my gurus on connection lives right here in Dubai, and he's our Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. And he said something a little while ago that really kind of like sparked something in me. He said, "It is easy to rule through fear, but it takes a rare leader to rule through love." And man, that really bothered me because it is so unprofessional to talk about love at work. And yet we have the ruler of Dubai saying leadership and love go hand in hand. And who does he think he is? Huh? Talking about love in the workplace. I'll tell you what, though. I was raised in a really loving home. I don't know if it was the same for you. It's not the same for most people, but I was raised in a loving home. So all the time when I was growing up, my parents were telling me how much they love me, and I would go to church, and my pastor would say we have to love each other, love our neighbors as ourselves, and I would love my siblings even when I hated my siblings. I had to love them, and I loved my dog, and I loved my friends. And I was taught that the world was kind of, more or less a loving place, and we should just love one another. And then I grew up and I became an adult, and I realized it was all just a big lie because 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 when you grow up you're supposed to get a job, and if you get a job you have to spend half of your day every day with a bunch of people you are not supposed to love. And if by accident you actually end up loving a few of those people, you should definitely not tell them, because that would be deeply deeply unprofessional, right? So I was raised in a loving environment, grew up to find out the world is not really a loving place. You're not supposed to be loving. So I was just secretly 30 years, 30 years in business, loving people, never telling them until one day I was restructuring a $600 million fashion company based here in Dubai. And the CEO and I got on a phone call on a Friday afternoon after we'd had a bunch of really difficult meetings. We knew that on Monday we were going to announce some changes that were going to hurt some people. And we were trying to figure out the best way to communicate to them the changes we were making, why we were making them, and how we needed to get them on board. And it was emotional. It was an emotional call. I was actually downstairs in the parking lot, leaning on my car, had the phone up here, and he was upstairs in the office. And at the end of the call, I was like, really great work. Thanks for this week. Have an amazing weekend. I'll see you on Monday. I love you. Bye. And I freaked out because I had just told the CEO of a $600 million company that I love him. And so I've got the phone in one hand and I'm reaching down trying to press the little red button, right, to turn it off. Okay. And then I heard it through the little microphone in my on my phone. And it was faint, right? It was quiet, but I heard it. I heard it while I was reaching down. He's like, "Good work, Corey. See you Monday. Love you too." Boom. Click. We never spoke of it again. We're still friends. We have never spoken of that conversation again. Why? Because it's unprofessional, right? To love the people that you're working with and we accidentally tell each other we love each other at work is weird. It's weird. But why? Why is it weird? If the Sheikh of Dubai says that we can lead through love, okay? And if the world is supposed to be a little more loving place, and I think all of us can agree we probably could do with a little bit more love in the world all the time. Why? Why is it so unprofessional? And I think maybe it's because the word itself is just really vague, you know? Like if at the lowest end of my commitment scale in love, I love chocolate. I do. I love chocolate. I also love Matt Damon. If you've ever seen any Matt Damon films, I love that guy. I mean, I've never met him, obviously, but I think we could be friends. But yeah, I love Matt Damon and I love chocolate, and that's the lowest end of love for me. It has nothing to do with romance, by the way. And then on the highest end of my commitment, I love my children. I do. I really love my children. I would sacrifice everything for them. That is the deepest, most enduring love that I have. And that's also not romantic, right? So I think the confusion of the word, if we've got if I've got chocolate on one side and children on the other side, surely we can find something in the middle that we can use, right, to talk about love in the workplace. But the problem is the connotation of the word, we don't know how to use it. Because if I come up to you in the office and I say, hey, great work, I love you, you're going to say, well, what do you mean by that? Right? So why is it that we don't talk about love at work? And it's because of this confusion of the word. In Arabic, you've got six, not six, eight words for love. And I think mahabba is close to what we're looking for. And we do have ways of expressing love at work, but we've confused it with other things like romance. And it's just not like that because I love a lot of people in my life that I'm not romantic with, like my mom. And my friends and my clients and my colleagues and the people that I work with at work. And it's important. It's important for us to know because when we squeeze the humanity out of our human resources looking for productivity, what happens is absolutely catastrophic. Did you know that employees who don't have a lot of job control, that means they don't have much say in what they do for work or how they do it, they're 21% more likely to die in general and 50% more likely to die of heart disease specifically than those that do. And that's just the cost of low job control. Okay. And another study of 400 companies, each with more than 100,000 employees in it, found that on average, those companies are losing 62 million US dollars every year just to misunderstandings. And that is just from the cost of employees not being understood. Now, okay, yes, I know love is kind of a lofty goal, right? So how do we get there? What's the ladder? What's the process? What are the steps? Okay, and if you want people to feel loved, first they're going to have to be valued. And if you want people to feel valued, then first they're going to have to be understood. And if you want people to feel understood, then first they're going to have to be heard. And if you want people to feel heard, then they first need to be included. And I know that we talk a lot about diversity and equity and inclusion these days, but inclusion is the baseline. It is level one in psychological safety. That is where we need to start if we're going to climb that ladder all the way to loved. Yeah, when people feel heard and then understood and then valued, and eventually you can be in a relationship where the default is the highest form of trust, the highest form of empathy, shared values, belonging on teams, discretionary effort, basically everything you read about in every major leadership book. The highest form of all of those things is love. And we know how to do this because we've got all of our ancestors behind us. 10,000 iterations of your ancestors taught you how to love. You were born with this. You know who loves you, you know who doesn't, you know who you love and you know who you don't. And that is what kept your ancestors alive, is knowing who to trust, who to share their resource with, who to provide for and protect when they're not looking. That is the tool that we've got in our heads that have helped all of us to survive the last million years of scarcity and violence. And we've kicked it out of the office because we think it's unprofessional. Well, it's not unprofessional. And certainly we'd make a lot more money if we started to just be a little more loving with each other. We also know now that employees who feel loved in their workplaces are happier, they're healthier, and we now know that they live longer lives. And isn't that a pretty good deal? Okay. Companies who just increase the number of people in their organization who say they have a best friend at work from 40% to 60% would find 12% more on their bottom line, increased net profit as a result. And I think that's a miracle. I think it's a miracle if we take what makes us most human and we put it back into the place where we spend the most time with other humans. That is the most natural thing I can think of. Like, I'm not asking you to do something weird. I'm asking you to tap into something that's very, very old. This is not new information. This is not novel. This is not creative. I want you to do what makes you most human in the place where you work with other humans the most. It's funny. When I was doing the research for this, I wanted to run an experiment on myself. So about 3 years ago, I started to just sign off all of my emails, love Corrie. That's it. Arbitrarily, on one day, I just decided every single email I send out, love Corey, to everyone, okay? Vendors, clients, suppliers, friends, strangers, ministers of government, members of the royal family, yes, everyone, love Corey. Okay, it's been going on for a long time now, 3 years. And I can tell you, nobody seems to mind. I have not been reported to any HR departments that I am aware of, and people really like it. And a lot of people have, come on board. And I'm pretty confident in telling you that that experiment is a success. And if you want to humanize your communications with other people in every communication, just love. No more sincerely, no more best wishes, no more kind regards, just love and see what happens. All right. It's a small experiment, but I challenge you to do it. You don't have to, but I guarantee you it's not gonna be bad if you do. And just think, like, what do you think is gonna happen, honestly, if you just write, love Ahmed or love Miriam. Okay, but then what do you think might happen if all of us here on this call, if all 100 and some of us had started to do it, or let's say all 4,000 of the members of PMI, what if we all on one day started signing all of our emails love? And then what would happen maybe if 100,000 or a million of us started, or maybe 10 million? What if 10 million of us started to do it? Do you think we could make a difference? I think so too. Khalil Gibran once said that work is love made visible, and I completely agree. And I just want you to consider today what it might take for you to become one of those rare leaders that leads through love. And I know you'd be such a good project manager if it wasn't for all the people and your stupid boss and all the other people. But if you love the people that are around you and you recognize that they are sacred creatures, they are apex predators, and each and every one of them has dreams for their own life that are beyond this building, beyond your company, beyond your project. If you value them and love them and empathize with them as humans, I guarantee you everything will go a lot smoother. All right. And if you can help those people in your work find the meaning for them being there, and if you can connect with them in a way that's meaningful to them so that they feel like you belong with them and they belong with you, well then we can look at fulfillment. And I'll tell you what, I've done a lot of fulfilling things in my life. After this, I want you to all find me on LinkedIn. Okay? Find me on LinkedIn. You don't have to connect with me. I just want you to scroll down my LinkedIn profile. Yeah, it's long. It's long. And I wanted to show it to you because I've done a lot. I've started and exited 5 of my own companies. I've raised 5 kids. I've published 9 books. I've done 2 master's degrees, 2 doctorate degrees, postgraduate fellowships in artificial intelligence at MIT, finance at Harvard. Yeah, I do a lot of things because I do a lot of really difficult things. But I'll tell you what, the things that I've done in my life that have been the most fulfilling, the most meaningful, the most gripping, the stuff that I'm most proud of, it didn't make me happy. Not while doing it anyway. Running marathons. Are you kidding me? Like, everything that I've done that's been really, really, really meaningful, really fulfilling was about 15% pure joy, 85% really hard work. Have you got kids? Okay. Yeah, raising kids is hard. It's 15% joy and 85% work. Starting a company, 15% joy, 85% work. Accomplishing some of your biggest projects, no matter what they are, 15% awesome. That's cool. Good job. 85% and you're slugging it out day after day. Okay. The most fulfilling things in your life are things that are going to be a combination of 15% joy and 85% really hard work. So, if you want to be happy, happy is easy. Okay. Happy is a combination of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin in the brain. And you can get that by eating a Big Mac and watching Netflix. You want to be happy? Eat a Big Mac, watch Netflix. It'll make you happy, but it will not make you fulfilled. If you want to be fulfilled, you have to do challenging things, which means happiness itself is a distraction from fulfillment. If you're constantly seeking happiness in the short term, you are always going to be avoiding fulfillment in the long term. And so I want to challenge you today, just before we end here, what are you doing? What have you chosen in your life that you're doing right now, career-wise, personally, in terms of your own development? What are you doing that really, truly challenges you? And I want to share a story. Um, this is really embarrassing. Okay, about I want to say 2.5 years ago, I was I have a horrible fear of heights. I'm really terrified of heights. So I was on a ladder in my own house, mind you. I was in my own house on a ladder and I was hanging a picture in my house about 2 meters up off the ground. But because the ladder is up 2 meters and I've got this horrible fear of heights, I'm shaking. I'm shaking. I'm sweating. I'm swearing like a sailor with Tourette's. It was just really, I was like almost violent just trying to nail this thing into the wall. My wife, God bless her, she's wonderful. She comes up behind me, taps me on the leg, right? Says, come down, gives me a glass of water, and I leave and, and I'm all grumbly and stuff. And she just climbs up the ladder and nails the nail in and hangs the picture. And it was embarrassing. It was very emasculating. And I was like, this is just I have to be able to fix this. I got to do something. And so I decided that I was going to cure my fear of heights. And the only way that I could think of to do it was by doing it in the most difficult way that I could possibly imagine. So I learned to skydive. That is correct. Um, until now, I've got 62 solo skydives, and I will tell you what, I was terrified. I don't think I even smiled until like 20 jumps in. Okay. But it's so important for you to be choosing things in your life that challenge you, remind you that you are an apex predator, that you have a million years of survival and adaptation inside you, to remind you that you are designed for scarcity and violence. You are designed for war and famine and disease. All of your ancestors that earned you the right to be born prepared you for that world where things are hard, but you are not in a world where things are hard. Alhamdulillah, you are in the most abundant time in all of human history. There has never been better technology, communications, transportation, work options. There's never been better quality of life and healthcare and longevity ever in the history of human race. You are the latest iteration in a successfully improving design, and you are in the most abundant time in all of human history. So choose something for yourself, for your family, for your career that is difficult. Choose it because it's difficult. Do the hard things because they're hard, and be fulfilled by choosing something that's going to be about 15% pure joy and around 85% really hard work. Take that on for yourself. That's what I want for you. And that's what you can give to every member of your team, every person in your organization, everyone on your project, your boss, your colleagues, your vendors, your suppliers, your clients. If you connect with them in a way that helps them to find meaning at work, to connect with you personally, and to choose to do something together with you that's really supremely fulfilling and not just doesn't just make you happy, that is an amazing way to live. That is an incredible way to live. It's powerful. You will live a happier, healthier, longer life, and your company will make more money. You will be higher performing, more productive. You're going to get more advances, more raises, and that, my friends, that is not my story. That is the science of all of this. All right. And again, all of it completely free. You do not have to pay a single penny. This is not an app. There's nothing to subscribe to. Help to make the work a little bit more meaningful for those around you. Connect with them like humans, not resources, and then do fulfilling things together. All right. So that's it for my input today. I want to stop here so we have plenty of time to talk. I want to have a conversation with you about what those things mean. Uh, where is my host? Who's going to sort out the questions for me?
Oh, no, no problem. I'm here for you, Doctor. So interesting. I think during my tenure so far, I have not gone through this topic. Okay. So I will be very honest. Okay, I will
Yeah,
be
yeah,
very
go ahead, go
honest
ahead.
here. And that's the point is that whatever you are discussing here is very offbeat.
Yes,
It
that's
is
the point.
very, very unorthodox. Okay.
Yes.
It's not considered as a normal.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not considered as a natural.
But that's where we're
Okay.
wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So
It is the most natural thing. We
correct.
have made it unnatural.
We have made it unnatural because
Yes.
now there are different aspects to how to perceive it. But I would rather me speaking. I don't want to take the time off from the audience here. I can talk to you and I can talk and talk, no problem. But I want to give this stage to the audience. I'm reading some messages around.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, go.
interestingly. Question wise, I see two, but one interesting comment came here is that when you say that, let's put it, our signature is a love Corey, okay, or
Yeah.
love me, whatever.
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
Won't it be considered as a kind of sign of a flirt? in the eyes of the people who don't are coming from the same school of thoughts?
Yeah, great question. And this is why I put up the child chocolate spectrum, right? I love chocolate and I love my children. Neither of those things are romantic. So the lowest form of love and the highest form of love have nothing at all to do with romance or flirting, nothing at all. Okay. Also, that's why I put up the Sheikh from or the quote from Sheikh Mohammed. If Sheikh Mohammed can talk about loving every single person that he's working with as a ruler of Dubai, we can also do the same. And I know what you're saying, that there's that, what do you mean by that? If I say that I love you, but the fact is that that fear of romance goes away really quickly when we actually just really genuinely love each other. And the principal fear isn't romance. The principal fear is not flirting. The principal fear is sexual harassment. And I'll tell you what, over the last few years, it's all in the book. I've written a couple of books. One of them, in case you want to know it, is Love at Work.
Hmm.
But the research has shown us that as men and women in every country, as men and women are working together more closely and more often, sexual harassment cases are actually coming down.
Coming down.
The
Yeah.
truth is, we're just getting better at it. We're getting more mature. And that's what we need to do. We just need to get a little more mature because and I shouldn't have to say this out loud, Anshel, but I'm going to tell you right now, you shouldn't have to say it out loud. But love and sexual harassment have absolutely nothing at all to do with each other. These are mutually exclusive categories. These Venn diagrams do not touch. Love is nothing like sexual harassment. They're not even in the same universe. Okay, one of them has to do with connecting with other people, and the other one has to do with power. They're not remotely connected, and yet somehow we've smashed them together, and we've taken the most powerful human tool that we have on the planet out of our places of work because of that confusion. The Venn
Mm,
diagrams don't touch. Okay,
mm,
so when I
mm,
say I love you, there's no sexual harassment in it at all. There can't be. They can't overlap. You know what I mean? And if
mm,
somebody is saying something to you that is perceived as sexual harassment, I guarantee you it is not love.
mm, mm.
They're
True.
mutually exclusive categories. So we've taken that out because in the 1980s and early 90s, the cold consultancies of like KPMG and EY, they figured out ways to like be really ruthlessly efficient in cutting labor out. So,
Mm,
that you could just tell 4,500 people that their primary source of income is no longer coming in next month. Sorry about that. Bye. And in order to do that, we really needed to dehumanize each other. So we moved toward things like human capital, human resources. And as long as we could dehumanize each other, then we could squeeze the humanity out of each other and look for higher productivity. And what we're telling you now is that 30 years on, that science doesn't hold up. The highest form of productivity, the highest form of performance, the highest form of discretionary effort comes from a human who feels connected with the person that they're working with, who feels that they're valued on the team, engaged in their work, and are giving their best every single day. That is where your highest level of performance is. So
okay.
I'm not
So,
asking you to do something unnatural. I'm asking you to do the most natural thing in the place where you spend the most time with other humans. That is natural.
so I have a question here connected to this is from Robert is that can you define love
Mhm.
as you are using it in the workplace? How the
Yeah.
meaning of a love as a connotation, jargon as a vocab is going to make a differential meaning around it,
Yeah.
especially in the workplace. How can we
Yeah.
make it much more explicit to that point?
100%. Yeah, we call it companionate love. That's the love that exists between brothers in arms who've like been off to battle. And it was funny because I was like, um, who was it? Oh, one of the CEOs. I was running a master class, and one of my CEOs was like, "Oh, but isn't this all like really soft? Is this soft skills?" I'm like, "This is the hardest skill ever." And he's like, "Yeah, but it seems just really unmanly." And I'm like, "Love is unmanly." And he says, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, so just think of this. Just think
Yeah.
of this. The highest level of discretionary effort required by any job in the world is death. You think of like the US Navy SEALs, for example. Okay, you have a band of 8 US Navy SEALs with a commanding officer. Among those
Mhm.
8 they tell each other they love each other. They
Mhm.
tell each other all the time they are so tightly bonded that they would throw themselves on a grenade to prevent that grenade from killing their friends. They are so tightly bonded, and they say they love each other, and they love each other so deeply that they take care of each other's families after death. That is love. That is the highest form of discretionary effort, and there is nothing unmanly about that. There is nothing soft about that skill. Okay, when you belong to a group of people like that, and I'm not saying you should throw yourself on a grenade for the people in your office, that's a little bit
mm,
ridiculous. But what I'm saying is,
mm,
this is not romance. The highest form of love is not romance. Okay. It is the discretionary effort that allows one human being to throw themselves in front of a bullet for another human being. That is love. That is what I think we're missing in our offices. And I think we can just do a lot more work a lot faster when we have that default to trust, the default to sharing resources, the default to belonging and shared values. If we have all of that and we don't question each other's motives when somebody says, I love you, and you're not thinking, what do you mean by that? When they say, I love you, and you're like, I love you too, like we've got this. And
mm.
that energy flows from that sort of, dedication to each other. That's the belonging that we've kicked out of the office. But that same sense of belonging, that is what earned you the right to be born. All of your ancestors knew who loved them and knew who didn't. Those were the people that they shared their resources with. Those were the people that provided for and protect them when they weren't looking. And we can use that. We can use that at work. And our experience of work goes up, our productivity and performance, yes, but also we're happier, we're healthier, and we live longer lives if we're in those environments. So let's just maybe be a little bit more human and see what happens, Anshal. I think we've got an opportunity here.
Yeah, I think it's a deeper meaning, as you said, and deeper understanding levels to go with the different layers that are involved here. I would say, when you say, can you define love? What I've understood from your brief speech around here is that it's, as you said, it's a deepest level of discretionary
Yes.
human connection power,
Yep.
which is being, I'm just making it as a one acronym as a love. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that is the love meaning here in this context to us. I
Yeah.
think great, but again, another question to you, Doctor, is that from Balachandra, and he is bringing something around now, making the things a bit spicier. What I mean to say is that
Yeah.
when we try to understand people from employee, teammates, bosses, colleagues, uh,
Yep.
with the openness to connect, to love, to
Good.
grow, and then obviously we get into the position where we sometimes, seldomly, intentionally or unintentionally,
Yeah.
not able to satisfy their needs, egos,
Yep.
personal
Yeah. Yeah.
agendas. Uh, what's your magic plan to address this kind of case now?
But that's true in every relationship. That's true between me and my wife and me and my kids. It doesn't mean I don't love them. I can't satisfy everything that they want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what would make our employees happy is if we just give
Mm-hmm.
every employee in the organization 100,000 dirhams a month as salary. Okay, that would make them happy. But
Mm-hmm.
we would run out of money really quickly, and that means we end the game, and then
Yeah.
nobody's families get fed. So we can't give everybody what they want because we don't have everything to give everybody all of the time. What we do is we give people as much as we can from what we have. We're sharing resources. And our work is intrinsically meaningful because it's our value exchange. We exchange value to the world. We add value to the world in exchange for a share of the resources. And the better we can connect with the people on our team, the easier it's going to be for us to do that, and the more enjoyable that experience is going to be. I'm not suggesting that you just run around, tell everybody you love them. I'm suggesting that you would make more money if you did. Okay. And it's funny because the same CEO that I did that masterclass for, he said it.
Mm-hmm.
He stood up and he said, what if we don't want to do it? What if we're uncomfortable with all of this? And I said, that's fine. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. You don't have to be comfortable with it and you don't have to do it. Okay. But the science is really clear.
Mm-hmm.
Your people, your employees, you've got what, 30,000 employees. Your people will live happier, healthier, longer lives. They'll be more productive, higher performing, and you're going to make more money. And you're a bank. I told him you're a bank, which means if you don't want to do it, fine. But that means you value something more than people and more than money. And your shareholders might want to know what that is. Okay. And so in front of like 17 GCXOs and CXOs of this major multinational bank, the GCEO of the bank was like, all right, I get it. I get it. What do we do? And I said, look, you don't have to sign all your emails love. You don't have to tell everybody in the office that you love them. You just
Mm-hmm.
have to love them. You don't have to use the word. Just do the thing. Just let it occur to you. Let it occur to you to consider what is the most loving thing that I can do today. What is the most loving way that I can approach my boss? What is the most loving way that I can approach my employer, my team? Or even if you've got a conflict going on with one of your vendors or your suppliers or networks or a contract, whatever, what is the most loving way that I can approach this conversation? Just let it occur to you, okay? To approach it in a more loving way and see what happens. You're gonna eventually you're gonna make more money. The science is really clear.
Okay, so I think you already answered by giving this response to this particular question. There was a question from Muthana, which I think you already answered in a way now. That
Yeah,
the question was around, do you have a mechanism to keep getting back to this theory of getting this mindset as a seed in our mind, so
yeah,
that this becomes a part of ourselves, rather than we are forcing ourselves to position and to show. I think what is that what will make us ingrained with this seed. But you just mentioned that you have to
yeah,
think that what is the most lovable way you can approach the situation, you can approach the people, you can approach
yeah.
the circumstances around you. I think that's what the easiest way to plant that seed, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, and honestly, the first thing you do is just we're so transactional, right? We live in such a consumeristic, comfort-driven Talabat society. We're looking at the people around us for what they can do for us, not for who they are. Okay, it doesn't matter what project you're working on, doesn't matter what company you're working in. Every single person you're working with, everyone you interact with tomorrow is a human being. Every one of them is the product of 10,000 generations of ancestors that successfully survived this world and earned them the right to be born. They're sacred. Remember that look, the game you're in, whatever industry you're in, that's just a game. Aviation, FMCG, luxury shoes, oil and gas, doesn't matter. That's just a game. And those games, we made them up. We made up those games, most of them within the last 100 years. Okay. And all of the rules of all of those games also made up, mostly within the last 30 years. Okay. So the game itself is made up. The game's not sacred. But the players are sacred. The players are sacred human beings. The players are apex predators with 10,000 generations of success behind them. The players are sacred. So the problem is that we take the game, the made up game, we take the game so seriously and we don't take the players seriously enough. And if I shift anything in your paradigm today, it's just to take the players more seriously than the game. Okay.
Okay.
If you develop great players, and they develop a great team, the win is a byproduct. Don't chase the win, chase the player.
Okay. So, interesting. So, its discussion is getting deeper and deeper, and the more probing it becomes, the more layers we are going to unearth from there. Ashraf is asking that how the discipline and accountability can be kind of simultaneously can be worked out while
Yeah,
we are leading the
100%.
teams through love. So, again
Yeah,
and again, coming back to the outcomes and outputs while we
yeah,
are showcasing this depth of human connection of the discretionary way. What's your
yeah,
thought?
100%. Look, accountability is a part of love. Even in parenting, right? I have 5 kids. I don't know if you've got kids. I've got 5 kids, and I can't love them and not hold them accountable. Right? Accountability comes with this. And accountability can be positive, negative, or neutral, but there are consequences to our decisions. There's consequences to our efforts. And if we've agreed that this is what we're going to do and then we don't do it, there has to be accountability for that. And if you don't hold somebody accountable, then you're robbing them,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Pay attention. You're robbing them of the development experience that they could gain from that accountability. They could become a better, sharper, faster player on a team. Your team doesn't matter. But if you rob them of that development experience, then you've taken money out of their account. You've taken food off of their future plates. You've taken retirement years off of their life because you've robbed them of that development experience. And I get this all the time when people are like, "Oh, but I don't want to give critical feedback because I want to avoid conflict. I am not talking about avoiding conflict. The word honor and the word honesty are the same word. Okay? You can't honor someone by withholding honesty from them. And if you know how they can get better at playing their game and you take that player seriously, if you take the player more seriously than the game, then you're in it to help them develop. And you say, hey, listen, if you just do this, you'll run a little faster, you'll move a little more accurately, you'll get this thing done. And if you take the player seriously enough that you're going to give them honest feedback so that they can develop, accountability will take care of itself. They'll
So
know
same
that
same
you're
goes for
on.
discipline as well, right? Honestly,
Yes,
same goes for
yes, they'll
discipline,
know.
right? Mm.
And we all have accountability. I am an executive coach, okay? My job is to hold your CEO accountable. Okay, and that's what happens when you have real mature relationships in organizations. And every single one of my clients, I tell them I love them, and every single one of my clients, they tell me they love me, and all of them are CEOs of companies of more than 10, 15,000 employees. Okay,
Hmm.
this is not unprofessional. I'm telling you, at the top, we are changing things. We're changing the way that it works. And my job is to hold them accountable for their performance, for their communication, for their leadership, for their management, for the things that will help them to help you as employees to take better care of your families. And that is the purpose of the company. The purpose of the company is to play an economic game so that when we
Mm.
win resources together, we share those resources together, and all of us can take care of our families and educate our kids and care for our parents and build our dreams. That's what we're actually doing here. The game,
Sure.
not sacred, but
Mm.
every single player is sacred.
Okay. So I think we are ending towards a session, but we have questions lining up now after the
Mhm.
discussions. Let's try to answer them, doctor, in the shortest form possible for you.
Sure. Yeah,
So
sure.
how can we make sure that the showing love to the team members will not be taken as a weakness, as a sign of ours, and they will not take advantage of it? Quick
Well, you just,
concepts.
yeah, tell them that you're there for their development. I'm here to
Okay.
help you. I'm here to develop you, and it's out of my love for you. Okay. Your
Okay.
efforts, and remind them, your efforts are feeding my family. Okay. I'm not going to forget that. My efforts are feeding your family. I'm not going to forget that. We belong to each other. You don't have to say love, but if you say belong, people know.
Hmm. Ah, I see what you're saying. Okay, that great message. That's a really great message. Joey is asking, isn't the type of love, again, bring the connotation form, is be
Yeah.
too extreme to workplace environment? But you just said, just not the word, is the
Yeah.
understanding of what we're trying to do here is a belongingness,
Mhm.
human connection. We
Yes.
are looking for a common cause, and how we are interconnected with this purpose of belongingness or the say said love is
Yeah.
feeding each other from the bigger perspective, right? So
Yeah.
we should not keeping this love as a word separate in that level, but we can if we want to, if it is getting mixed from the perspective of vocabulary, but the
Yeah.
idea should not get diminished, if I'm not wrong.
Honestly, in my years of experience and based on all of the research that I've done and all of the speaking that I've done on this subject,
Mhm.
you don't have to use the word, but you'll make more money if you do. That's the end result. The bottom line is you'll be more profitable because you'll connect with people better, they'll connect with you better, they'll default to trust and information sharing and
Mm,
collaboration,
mm,
they'll default to
mm.
psychological safety and discretionary effort and all of that stuff makes you money.
Makes me.
So look, you don't have to do it, okay? But you'll make more money
But
if
if
you
you
do.
do it, you better make more money. Okay, got it. Expressing ourselves, another question from Balaji. Expressing ourselves in some cases may bring vulnerability if similar correspondence is not there from the other end. How to
Yeah.
handle those
No, look, sometimes it takes people a little while to warm
time
up,
to.
and because of the culture, and also because we've taught each other to use each other as resources. I've been
Yeah,
taught to look at you, Anshal, as a resource, not a human. You,
yeah.
to most of the people in your organization, they are a set of roles and responsibilities, and we need to get away from that. Okay, the people in your organization, they are mothers and fathers, they are sisters and brothers, and they're
Mm,
there for reasons that have nothing to do with the company, just like you. We need to get away from the commoditization of human beings. The fact is, we are more productive and higher performing when we belong to each other.
mm. Interesting. I think that's really, again, deep thinking going around there.
Mhm.
Uh, Let me take last question here. Alexis is asking, can small act of kindness like checking in on someone's well-being be misunderstood in the workplace? And if so, how do we continue spreading love without losing ourselves?
No, just keep doing it. Be consistent and do it with everybody. It can't be misunderstood if you're doing it with everybody. If you're
Everybody.
showing favoritism to one member of your team, every other member of your team is going to notice. Love
Yeah.
everyone. Love everyone. Okay? And remember, all of us, myself included, we're just human beings. We are sacred and powerful human beings. We are weird and wonderful and magical and creative and sometimes also mean and terrible and awful to each other. But I think that if we choose the loving and creative and belonging piece, we're gonna have so much more fun. No matter what game we're playing, no matter which team we're on, you're gonna remember that it's just a game. You're not gonna take the game too seriously. You're gonna take the players more seriously. You're gonna start to play again. You'll remember it's just a game. and you're going to have
Mhm.
fun. And you're going to have a lot more fun because, well, it doesn't matter what you do. It matters a lot who you do it with.
Okay, great. I think this discussion can really go on at the moment. The 1 hour is a bit short to really get into the bottom of the theory and the hypothesis and the outcomes, what you learn with your audience, with your master classes, with the CEOs. I think
Thank
audience
you.
can really go and connect with you with your LinkedIn and
Thank you.
get in
Thank
touch
you.
with you to understand the bigger meanings of it in their context. But by the way, thank you, Doctor. It was a great webinar with you, and I
Thank
love
you
the
so much.
exchanging thoughts.
Yeah,
Uh,
look, in case nobody's told you today, I love you.
Oh, I love you too, by the way.
Awesome.
I think
There, see?
it was a
Not that
great
hard.
session. We spread love and we take love, more
Yes.
importantly, right? And
Yeah,
I love all the
absolutely.
people who have been with me around, supporting us from the webinar perspective. I love you all them guys, because ultimately
Good.
this love and belongingness to add
Yes.
you as a value is what I get
Yeah,
as an input from me. So
that's right.
I
That's
think we
right.
all are together in it. I think
Yeah.
we are going to close the webinar tonight, Doctor. I would like to thank you for all your attendance and
Pleasure.
participations, audience here. We would not say goodbye without saying thank and love you to rest of the PMI chapter volunteers who are always behind the successful webinars like this, and also in colleagues from volunteers, membership, outreach, finance, governance. And a big shout out to all of these friends who are making it possible for all of us to stay together and then bring this kind of webinars to our helm and to spread our knowledge. So, Doctor and rest of the team, I will God bless to all of you and take care of yourself. I'm taking a sign off from here with my team behind the camera. Wishing you a pleasant evening. Go ahead. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank
Cheers.
thank you. Good night. I love you.
Love you.